I want to give a few tips for trainers, but I want to begin by saying, as a trainer, you yourself never stop learning. That you yourself, if you think you're there as a trainer, well, there is no there. So there's always more to do. Always show up an hour early to discover what did not happen the way you hoped it would happen. We routinely tell people that the glamorous life of the trainer starts with furniture moving, because you discover that the way things are set up is not the most conducive way for people to learn. You discover that things have been set up classroom style instead of in rounds of 6 or 8. And so you need to make sure that you're there to check on that. You need to make sure that you're there to make sure that whatever equipment you're using that day works, is compatible with what you brought. So you need that hour to make sure that everything is going to be set up. When you start the training, you need to make sure that you remember that adults will learn if they choose to learn. A trainer in North Carolina described the people who attend training as falling into 3 categories. There are the explorers, the prisoners, and the vacationers. The explorers are the people that you hope come to training. They're the people who are going, well, this is a great idea, and I could do this with it, and I wonder how that would work. And they ask the questions that explore how this all fits together. The vacationers are people who are just going, I am so happy I'm not at work. And the prisoners are the people who come with arms crossed and say, you can make me sit here, but you can't make me learn. And what you want to keep in mind is your job is to create a welcoming learning environment. Your job is to present the information as well as you know how, to invite people in, but it is not your job to make people learn. That's up to them. And if prisoners are going to become explorers, that's up to them as well. It's up to you to simply present the information as well as you can. You need to also recognize that spending a lot of time with prisoners, trying to convince them to become explorers, is typically not the best use of your time. The best use of your time is with the people who are interested in learning, the people who want to see how this applies, the people who are looking for how it works. And part of what you need to do in order to be able to have those good experiences with the explorers is to build your repertoire of stories, to have stories that work for the questions that you're going to get. Stories are the most powerful way to communicate your message. So look for stories, build a repertoire of stories. As you go through the day, watch people's eyes. Their eyes will tell you whether they're interested, whether they're disinterested, whether they're engaged, or whether they're just tired. And you need to make sure that you give people breaks or you stop when the people who have been interested start to glaze over. Try to keep in mind that your job is to help people learn. Your job is not to look brilliant yourself. Your job is to facilitate learning. So when people are asking for help, you want to give them the help that starts where they are, not the help that necessarily says how clever you are. You always want to think about where is that particular audience member. What step are they on? So the fact that you're on step 64 and you can dazzle people with your brilliance doesn't mean that you're going to help somebody on step 8 get to 9. Only if you can recognize that somebody on step 8 needs assistance to get to 9 and can jump to 10, will you really help people learn. You must start where people are. The size of the group matters. The bigger the group, typically the faster the day is going to go, because the fewer questions that you're going to get. Smaller groups tend to generate more questions. This means that in a larger group, you have more responsibility for the learning because you're not going to get the people in the audience to ask the questions that you would typically see because people feel shy. Whereas in a small group of, say, 12 people, you would get the questions, and then you get so many questions that you have to manage time. You have to be able to look at kind of where are we and how are we going to get through the material that people need to cover, that they need to learn, but it is about learning, not about covering material. So there are times when you have to say, well, we're really just not going to get to this piece because this group really needs to spend some time on this. But mostly you need to be able to parcel the time so that the course works for the people that you're training. If you're doing the 2-day training, if you're doing person-centered thinking training, keep in mind that the only reason why that is 2 days in a row is because the people who began it, the people who developed it, had to travel to get to wherever the training was. There is no other reason to do 2 consecutive days except to reduce travel costs for the presenter. So there's no reason why it can't be this Tuesday and the next Tuesday, or why it can't be half days. There's no reason why the training can't be broken up into reasonable pieces.